What's up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Party Chat. I'm Matt, that's Dan, and that's Ash. You ready? How's it going?
It's alright. It was alright, but yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, I messed with the hat.
We're good. We're good.
Sorry, you talk shit.
You want to come
expect
with
repercussions.
I know.
Lodge complaints with HR afterwards.
I will do.
You can both go. Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
Take a strike for next year if you want. That's fine. I'm still not going to pay you.
Where's the party?
Next week.
And don't say in your pants.
It's definitely not a party. It's more like
Anyway,
I'm not going to go there. Party Chat is a weekly show that the three of us do where we get together every Wednesday to talk about a random topic, video game related. It can be anything from current events to lists. Obviously, we're getting towards Christmas, so we'll be talking about games for Christmas and games of the year, games and stuff in the coming weeks. But just before we get to that, this week we're going to be talking about the state of the industry in regards of the current consoles, what we like about them, what they're missing. When are we going to see the new consoles? We're obviously now 2 years in. The consoles have changed a fair bit. I think the Xbox especially has come on a long way since when it first came out. The PS4, it was in a better state, so it didn't need to make as much improvements.
True, yeah.
But the biggest thing that we've kind of had, and I'm sure you'll both agree, is always seems to be that these consoles are underpowered. People are always talking about that the power of a console is already being maximised. And it's like, this is 2 years in, and you're already seeing, like, Just Cause is the latest example. You won't know this yet, but the loading times, I think we touched on it last week, did we, on the Game of the Week show?
You might have mentioned it. It sounds...
The loading times are massive.
Yeah.
There's frame rate issues, but like the PC version is absolutely fine. So it's obviously just these ambitious titles, the consoles are struggling. So with that in mind, how long do you think it's going to be till we see a new generation? Because history would dictate it's normally about the best part of 10 years.
There's no way it's going to be that. I can tell you.
Or 8. I think the last generation was 05 to... The last generation was 8 years.
Yeah, I've always thought that really we're in that time now where 4 or 5 years, 5 years I think being the maximum that you're going to see a console now. With the competition as it is, potentially Nintendo coming into the frame as well in terms of competition, potentially, we don't know. But just how fast technology moves nowadays, it does move much quicker than it ever did before. Developers need consoles to be quicker, more powerful. And we were already seeing, as we were saying just before off air, or as you were saying, about how more memory is needed to processing power in order to make these games as fluid as they need to be, or as the developer wants them to be. And we see it more and more. Okay, Fallout, Just Cause, whatever game it is you're playing, there are frame rate issues, and you do get. I mean, I get it all the time in Fallout, but I just get used to it. But where it just sort of does that juddery sort of moving, you get it all the time.
Drops. But you've got one thing you've got to bear in mind, and I think this is a point that's maybe sometimes underappreciated. You can't compare console gaming to PC gaming, because to build a gaming PC is over £1,000, and people are wanting these boxes to be £300.
Yeah.
So one could argue that historically these companies have lost money on the console boxes for a number of years, and then made their money back in other ways. Whereas this time round, they started making money quicker. Now, one could say, well, why didn't they make more of a loss at the start? I was like, well, businesses aren't in the game to make losses. Yeah. Why would you sell up? Understanding that Microsoft needed to make that statement when they did the Xbox, because they needed to lose money to become relevant.
Well, they needed to become a household name, didn't they? And sometimes you do have to take a hit on your profit, on your balance sheet to get out there, and then you can make money in other ways. But there's got to be an element of profit margin there for these companies. That's why you're in business. But you're quite right. PC gaming and console gaming are two different sides of the coin.
Yeah,
when it comes to
I think you touched on it before, like with Nintendo. I think what happens with the NX will affect the time frames of Microsoft and Sony. If the NX comes out is completely and utterly open to third-party developers and so on to put their games on that as well, and it's absolutely knocking the two existing consoles out of the park in terms of its abilities. It's just like NX is here, like the other two are way down there kind of thing. Then they're going to have to react to that sooner rather than later. But if the NX comes out either on par or still below,
it's true. They're the first in the out the gate, as it were, aren't they?
Then it's a case of if it comes in as what those two are, then they're not going to rush.
They are
in the same way.
There has been reports that this machine is going to be like top of the line specs, the NX, and that it is going to massively outpower. But power isn't everything. In some regard, they've still got the user interface is key. If they come out with another crappy gimmicky controller, like a shitty Fisher Price tablet, then
this time you control your game with a rope.
Then it's like you say open to third parties. Nintendo is open to third parties.
Like completely, and everyone jumps to it. Is what I'm saying.
It's gonna. We've talked about it before, and unfortunately, Nintendo is. I still think it's a catch-22. People won't make the games until people buy the consoles, but people won't buy the consoles until they're the games.
Yeah.
So but I don't know. I wrote an article last Friday, I think it was, where Phil Spencer's talked about and said that this is definitely not the last Xbox console. We're continuing to try and I'm paraphrasing here, but there are our Xbox customers are our most loyal customers, and we want to continue to provide for them, like going forward and in the future, and continue to innovate.
Yeah.
In that article, I put 2019 as my guess, which would be 6 years from the release, which I stand by, because these games take like 3 years to make. If you're saying the console life cycle is only going to be 5 years, then it's like, people can only make one game, and then they're already.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't make the games on a console at the time. They make them on like computers that are spec'd to similar quality before porting it in. But I don't know. It's finding that right balance between not becoming outdated hardware, but not pissing off your fans by making this thing that you invested a lot of money in obsolete.
I think
because it's the catalogue of games as well.
There is the catalogue of games, but there's also as well you've got to consider the numbers that are being sold. So if we look at if we were to plot it on a chart, you would see sales increasing, but at some point that is tapering off, leveling off, and it is then going to start to fall away. Have we seen the peak now? I know what we're at 25 million, 23,
30 million on
30 million. So, but in terms of a month on month, or let's say quarter on quarter sales. If we were to plot that, I think that's one thing as well Sony or Microsoft have got to be conscious of, is the level of sales, because at some point that's going to just dwindle away a bit.
I don't know. I mean, we haven't even seen any first-party Sony games yet.
I know. I
so there's no way they're focused on the next console, and we haven't even had any for this console.
I know. If we're talking time frame, I think 5 years maximum is my guess.
From release. From
2018, but
I'll take that bet. With you. I bet it would be after 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Money. Don't know how much. We'll say $1 million.
I'll bet you a game.
Bet you a game. Alright, that's fine. It will not be out by 2018.
Will it be a game on the new console?
Yeah.
That way whoever wins gets their first game on their new console bought by the other person.
We'll figure something out.
I'll buy you the console if it's out in 2018.
No, I say game, but he's forgetting that I've got
board games.
Yeah, he's forgetting I've got loads of PS2 and 3 games.
So what do you think? There's been an article recently, Dan, you talked about this before we came on camera, about the PS4 releasing more CPU to the developers to use, because as you may or may not know, these consoles normally reserve a certain amount of power for the OS to continue to run in the background, to make sure that the console doesn't crash and burn, basically.
Yeah, it's like on the 7th chip or whatever.
And they've now released that. Do you think that's because people are moaning, developers are moaning behind closed doors that they need more power, they're not getting enough power out of it? Or because why release it now? Why not always have it released? What's changed to make them release that? Because they're already better than the Xbox. It's not like they need to try and catch up and match the power of the Xbox. They're already outpowering the Xbox.
I'm assuming that it must have been in demand in some shape or form. I mean, like playing games, there are certain ones now that I've noticed will actually kick in the fan on my PS4 a lot sooner, and it's a lot louder. And it's like, so I have to take it as like it's struggling, like it's at its upper limit, therefore it's needing to be cooled faster. So maybe they're just turning around and it might not be a case of they need it to develop the games. They're just saying you're running this at max.
Surely,
if you increase the cap, you're not maxing out the console. Therefore, it's not risking it.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a tech guy, but if you're using more cores, surely that's using, irrespective of whether or not you're maxing them, you're still going to be then using 7 cores rather than 6. Surely that's requiring more power, which is then generating more heat, so it's going to make it even worse. Although the 7th core was never not in use, it was still in use in the background anyway.
Yeah.
I guess.
I have noticed though this week that my fan has been more active.
It's because you never turn your console off. You're playing Fallout 4 21 hours a day.
No. I turn it off when I go to bed.
Yeah, exactly. 21 hours a day. But yeah.
I do work.
On Fallout.
From home.
Yeah, I'm building my I'm building my settlement.
Yeah, that deal you wanted, it's done.
So, what do you think then? If we're talking about, you say that these rumours of these new consoles coming around, you think it's going to be on the horizon. What do you think is missing from the consoles now in terms of features that you would like to see? Because I mean, the obvious thing is you put in more RAM, you put in more CPU, you put in more GPU to make it all better. That's an obvious feature. But like, what kind of maybe software side features do you think are important to move us on to the next generation?
Well, I actually want to just backtrack slightly and stick on hardware for a second. And I'm thinking it's possible, not necessarily going to happen, but something that could be considered is that we talk about like your PC rigs, you customize them, you can add whatever you want as and when you need. I wouldn't be shocked if it isn't at least thrown around as an idea out of one of these two consoles that they actually have a capacity in some shape or form for people who want to add upgraded RAM and so on to actually be able to customize their own consoles. So it will come stock. It will games will have to be able to run to the minimum of the stock, but if you want to be able to improve things, you can actually add as you need.
Okay.
And then maybe say 4 years down the line, like once you're reaching the upper end of stock, it's like, okay, like games are now moving on. Gamers, to get to the best performance, will now have to go out and buy this extra RAM, but that will cost you what 50 quid, whatever.
You will have to buy the official Sony approved RAM. That will be like £700. The same way like they have with their Vita cards.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it'll be like it'll be a case of you upgrading a part of the console.
Wow, I never really thought about that.
Rather than the whole thing.
But then
you risk alienating people.
Yeah.
People who have consoles don't understand. People who build PCs understand this, but people that have consoles don't understand.
You expect to buy a game that's a PS4 game and not have to check what the bloody
I know what you're saying. All
system
games
requirements
will work, but the game will be coded that it will look to see if it's got anything. Like the game will automatically code itself to quality.
Yeah.
But then you risk alienating people, and then you've got the fact that people are saying it happens on PC. Obviously, that it's the same price for a PC game whether you can run it on ultra or whether you can run it on low. But I think
I'm not necessarily...
that's a good way to future-proof it, and I agree it would be it wouldn't be a stupid decision for them to do. I just can't see that ever happening in the console space because I just see it being more bad PR than
it would.
It's sensible. But I just see it being like a PR nightmare.
It's fine for the likes of us.
Message, isn't it?
It's fine for the likes of us that would quite happily go out and buy additional RAM. And if I could go and do it now, I would, and make my console better. I mean, I've got no issues with that. That's fine. But there are people out there that just wouldn't want to. They can't afford to.
It's just me thinking on the lines of the same way as you can just pop out your hard drive and replace it with a larger one now.
Yeah,
is having something very simple.
It would
place for someone to be able to go. Pop the top of the console off. Oh look, there's the slot for it to go in. Pop, close.
It's not I mean, like RAM is one thing, but then changing a graphics card out, changing when you start you're fiddling with, you're then having to try and future-proof the motherboard to make sure that the graphics cards will fit on the same motherboard, and then you've got to worry about whether or not you've got enough power going into the console.
That's the
and the fans heating them. So
I know that there's a limit to how something like that can go, but it wouldn't surprise me if those ideas at least aren't battered.
I'm sure they do consider it from time to time, but then you've got the argument of saying, well, if you want to do that, just buy a PC.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong if you're going to go down that road. I think you just have 2 stock issued consoles. One that's quick, a bit like an iPad. You have one that's memory more so, but you'll have like a 16 gig, 32, 64, whatever, and you pick whichever one you want. A bit like that, but just have it with RAM as well, or power processing capabilities.
There's a question then. Do they not release a PS5 or whatever, but maybe next year they release a PS4 Pro or something?
Of course, like the mini upgrades are coming. They're bound to happen.
I mean, you've already seen it on the Xbox. You had the Xbox Elite, didn't you?
Well, you've already seen it with the upgraded hard drives. So you're going to see it with upgraded specs across the board.
That's just capacity of storage.
No. But what I'm saying is you're already seeing they've recognised one change that needs to be done. So why would they not put out something else down the line with the additional changes that they see need to be done?
Alienating your loyal fan base. You having a smaller hard drive, the only detriment to having a smaller hard drive is you can't have as many games installed on your console at one time. But having a lower spec console to what is now available to your new customers
penalises.
You're then basically saying you don't get to experience the Last of Us 2. It will not look as good for you day one adopter, as it will for the new people buying this Pro console.
Yeah. But anyway, there's I think lots.
There's pros and cons. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see them do that. But
I think one thing that's got to be considered, and we see more and more now, is the backwards compatibility. I think seeing recently the PS2 compatibility, the Xbox 360 catalog, all these things I think is something which we have to see, and it's got to be a given now. I was disappointed when PS3 games weren't compatible on the PS4 because I've got a massive PS3 catalogue and it would have been nice to carry on playing those on the PS4. But, that's that. But I think Sony have probably learned from that, and we've seen with the PS2 that if doing a PS5 or a PS4 Pro or whatever it is they're doing, whatever the next console is, I think PS4 games have got to be compatible.
I think they will be now. I think, people are moving more to digital. You've got the PlayStation Store is now a central unit. So the PS3 games, PS4 games are already on there. The reason PS3 hasn't maybe come to PS4 is because, famously the PS3 had that cell processing that was really difficult. So the way the games are probably, I don't understand again, but programmed, obviously work slightly different to PS4. So it's not just a case of flicking a switch.
Yeah.
Whereas PS5 will probably be more of an evolution of PS4. Rather than revolution, so therefore it would be easier to be more compatible.
Correct,
Again, it's probably still not as simple as flicking a switch because it took Xbox long enough to work it out, and Phil Spencer said it wasn't easy. But yeah, that's I think now that we've seen it come in this generation, people are going to always expect it again.
I think so. Yes,
and I think also the shorter this generation is, the more that is a requirement.
Yeah. If you've bought a console, if these games are only 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever, but like you said, like a 12-year-old game, it's like, well, if you can't play that now, if you haven't played it in the last 12 years, then you're a bit late to the party, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's just it. And I'm not worried that I can't play the first PS3 games that I bought.
Yeah.
Because I've had plenty of time between this time of buying that and can't I stop using my PS3 to play it.
If you haven't played it now, you probably never will.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. So it's like that. But if you're talking hey, here's a console that we said would last 10 years and it's lasted 4.
Then, but it's okay because you'll still be able to play all your games on this new one.
Yeah.
The new one just allows us to be able to do more.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
So, closing comments then. You've said 2018.
Yeah, I would say 2018.
I'm saying 2019. Dan, do you want to go on record with a year for the next generation?
So we came out in
2013.
I reckon it's going to last to 7. I reckon 2020.
2020. See, I toyed with 19 or 20, but I just figured maybe 4 years from now.
I think they'll go around number in like up to the decade, unless, like I said, Nintendo
could change,
do something that really changes the timescale.
That is true. It'd be interesting to see. I can't wait till next year, although it's going to probably suck. But I'm optimistic.
Yes.
So there we go. That's a few of our thoughts on the current state of console gaming, where it may go in the future, and how it is now. Let us know down below what you think. When do you think we'll see a PS5, Xbox 2, 4, whatever it's going to be called?
21?
God, they've really shot themselves in the foot with it.
Yeah.
The 4th Xbox. But for now, Ash, Dan, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
And everyone out there, thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time.